All right, welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Evangelisti. Today, I have the honor of having another great guest on our podcast today. Good friend of mine who is a extraordinary man in a lot of different ways, and we're going to shed some light on those things today. His background it's a little nerve-wracking, I have to say, for me, because this guy is a master podcaster himself. So hopefully he's going to give us some background on that as well. But I want to welcome to the show today a good friend of mine, Jonathan Rivera. JR, welcome to the show, man.
Man, I am so happy to be here, and just want to tell you, you're looking snazzy today. The last time we spoke, you were all dressed down, and today you're dressed up, man, looking good.
I think the last time we recorded, I was actually in a tank top and I was on the beach. So
flip-flops and all. Yeah, I was like, this guy's living the life.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, this is my work outfit. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. So welcome to the show, man. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing with our guests. And, I'm looking forward to a fun interview because I know that our first two were really entertaining. And, we covered a couple subjects that, got a little heavy, but also, I think we covered some good stuff that is going to be, particularly entertaining for our guests, but also I think stuff that's going to help them, kind of push through maybe some struggles that they're going through and, kind of see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Because I think the two of us, we were just talking about this before the show, very similar in terms of a lot of things that, we relate to in life as far as, we've both been through some struggles. We've both, have fought through some things and kind of maybe almost seen the light on the other side. Not that we don't continue to see struggles in the day to day.
Bro, I mean, come on. I think if there was no struggle, then we couldn't savor those good moments. Like you were saying right before we got on the air, I take my kids to soccer practice. I take them to school. These little guys don't know how good they have it because they didn't grow up the way that you did.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, how do we implant this in our kids so they're not spoiled little brats?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's we work so hard to create this opportunity where we can have this quote unquote 4-hour work week, right? Where we can control our own schedule. And it's funny because it is completely different than how you and I grew up. So I mean, maybe give us a little bit of background of, where your background was, from where you started.
Bro, I grew up, I think I was poor. I just think my parents hid it well. That's really what I think. And the reason I say that is not because I really lacked for anything, because they worked multiple jobs and overtime and crappy jobs to give me what I needed. But the programming that I grew up with was money is the reason we can't have that. Oh, you want those new shoes? We can't have that. We don't have the money. You want to go to Disney? You can't have that. We don't have the money. And so I grew up with this weird programming, and that's maybe the legacy my parents were going to leave behind. But something about me rejected it, bro. I was like, I don't like anything. In fact, dude, I went to Catholic school, and we were laughing about this because we're looking at schools for little Huddy, Cupcake and I. That's what I call my wife. We're looking at schools, looking at opportunities where we want to send them private, charter, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. We're looking at the Catholic school. I'm like, I think Catholic school is made to break your spirit. I mean, it's the craziest thing. I know it sounds horrible or blasphemous. I'm a practicing Catholic, so I can say that and be forgiven this Sunday. I'll go get my wafer and be good. But I'm like, man, I didn't follow any rules, and I revolted. They actually kicked me out of Catholic school, bro. They wouldn't take my parents' money. They told them, keep the money, take your 2 sons, and get out of here. So that's where I came from.
Man, I have a very similar experience. I don't want to step on your story, but they threw me out of CCD. So I'm with
really?
You, man. I'm with you, man. And I agree with you by the way, on the schooling and the program. I think it's meant to instill guilt, which it's just tough for kids, man. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's it, man. I mean, that's where I came from. I grew up, obviously Catholic school, so we had faith in our lives. My parents worked hard and they showed me a good work ethic, and I essentially rejected everything to the point that I'm now free, and I'm grateful for that. And that's when we're talking about legacy, and I know we're going to get into all of this, but that's what I'm trying to bring to my son. And not only my son, I had this quote pulled up because I heard it this morning, and I want to share it with the Legacy Blueprint listeners. And you've probably heard this already. It's Martin Luther King. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And that's what this is all about. Is like, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for your family? What are you doing for your audience? What are you doing for the world? And so in the beginning, it all started with what I was doing for myself. I wanted to get out of the rat race and get out of construction, because that's what I did for 9 years. And I'm at a point now in my life where it's more about, what am I doing, obviously, for the example that I'm leading for my son? What am I doing for my family? But I look at the bigger picture. I look at the bigger picture, and it's like, what am I doing here to improve this world? And so that's, I realize now, that's how I ended up here. And it may have started out selfishly, but when I was doing construction, what was I really doing? I was doing electrical work. I mean, people don't even notice or appreciate that. So my contribution wasn't big enough. And then when I went into real estate, I'm helping people find homes and helping people that are in situations sell these properties that are a pain in the butt. And I thought, oh, well, this is a step up from what I was doing in electrical. And it wasn't enough. And then I went into real estate training, and I was training realtors how to do marketing and do the things that we do. So now I felt like I was making a bigger contribution, but it wasn't enough. And what I do today is it's starting to feel better. And what I mean is when I'm connecting with guys like you and with your audience, if I can share some inspiration or insight, I'm helping more people. With our clients at the Podcast Factory, smart guys, and I'm sure you've had them on your show, like Mark Evans DM. When I am putting a megaphone onto that guy's message, I'm not just helping Mark, who I love Mark, but I'm helping everyone that hears him. And so my contribution is getting greater and greater and greater, and I'm obsessed with everything I'm doing nowadays, and it's starting to feel better than I did when I was a little snotty kid breaking rules.
I love that, man. And I think that, one of the greatest takeaways of everything you just said is it's the butterfly effect of what you start to create, right? So I was actually having this conversation yesterday with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about, that getting started, right? That taking action, that do something principle, just moving a little bit, right? So when you're an electrician, right, you might not have felt like you were impacting, but you're making maybe a slightly less impact than you are at the next step at the real estate level. It may feel negligible, but you're doing something, right? You're getting that ball rolling, all the way up to where you're at now, which is now you have that megaphone, you're impacting thousands and thousands of people with your voice. And I think, when we're doing these type of shows, the impact we're making, it's the difference is that it's not immediately felt. The people that are listening are getting these takeaways, and it's not like we're getting this a text message immediately after it's been released and said, oh my God, it was amazing, changed my life. But the fact is that the implementation of something that was learned here could be passed on to someone else, could be passed on. So the imprint that we're making or potentially making could impact so many more people. And this is just a stepping stone. Like, let's not forget that, right? So this is just one more. So that action that we create, that pebble, that butterfly effect, that ripple, whatever you want to call it, right? You got to start somewhere in order to start to create that effect to where you're, I remember reading Tony Robbins when he talked about he initially wanted to feed the hungry, and the guy feeds like 100,000 a day or 1 million a day, or I don't even know what the numbers are. It's so crazy, but he didn't start out thinking he could do that. So I think taking that action, that's one small step. It's amazing how quick you get to where you get just by moving forward.
God, it doesn't seem quick though, does it? Never
No.
seems quick enough.
No, of course not. Of course not. But you got to go in the right direction, right?
Yeah, you're going to take 2 forward, 1 back. It's part of the game. And I think what really separates the people, the champions, the winners, is the ability to just keep getting knocked down and get back up, because you've got that purpose. You know what your purpose is. And that's really, to me, I know I'm getting more familiar with what my purpose is, and it makes it easier every time I get knocked back. Like, all right, damn, that hurt, but I got to get back up,
Nice. So Jonathan, tell me about something like that. You know, tell me about, I always call it like your favorite failure or your favorite stepping stone. Like, is there one of those that knocked you down, but it also at the same time, it was like a springboard forward, like one of those times where it was like, man, you know, you felt like maybe you weren't going to get back up, but in hindsight, you needed that, you know, punch in the face in order to straighten you back out.
Man, Joe, I don't know if I need any punches in the face, but
I don't
maybe a
either,
kick
but
in
it
the
happens.
ass.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't even, I'm not healed completely yet. And this is like a
Oh
decade
no.
later.
Okay.
But I would say, if we're going to say favorite failure, I started in real estate. I made good money very quickly because I got in the market when it was hot back in 2004. Got really good at acquiring properties and having rentals, and then started getting into rehabs and that sort of thing. And I thought I was the golden boy until I got caught holding about 4 houses, totally leveraged out, and got wiped out. I got wiped out and I lost everything. Not only that, my dad lost his house, I lost my house, and I fell into a downward spiral. And the thing was, I didn't look, nobody trained me to do business. Nobody told me what the ups and downs were going to be. I wasn't prepared for what happened. And this was a test, a test of my spirit, a test of my soul. When I got knocked down, I didn't know what to do, and I almost went back to work. But here's the problem: it took me nearly 2 years to recover from this,
Hmm.
and it was man, it was low. And the only person that really believed in me, and it was weird because I don't know how she could have. I was such a freaking loser, and I don't know how my wife would look at me and believe in me. And she thought I was a winner the whole time. And I'm like, I can't, I don't have any money. I don't have anything going on. I'm losing everything. I lost more than I had. And those 2 years were dark times for me. And I came out of it. And one of the things that helped me come out of it, and one of the reasons that I'm sitting here with you today, was that I found podcasts of all things. And I wasn't a very good reader. Now I have books behind me. I speed read and everything, but I wasn't a very good reader. I got turned on to audiobooks, and I got addicted to audiobooks. And then I found podcasts, and then I learned about marketing, and I learned about mindset, and I learned about all these other things. So that failure that knocked me down, first of all, it was hard. It knocked the wind out of me. I was really in deep despair, but I came back from it and I rebuilt. I'm sitting in my real estate office right now. We got rentals. We got 40 plus rentals now. We got cash flow and things that I didn't have before. If I didn't get knocked down, I wouldn't have rebuilt to where I am today. And I also wouldn't know how to get up after getting knocked down so hard. So it may not be my favorite. It still hurts, and I'm still a little gun shy sometimes because of it. But I know that taught me that I was tougher than I thought I was. And if I got back from that, frankly, I think I can get back from anything nowadays.
Man, it's such an incredible story. I really appreciate you sharing that with our guest. I mean, that's impactful, man, and it's, you know, it's, I think, you know, it's so important to recognize that, like, that was a low that paralyzes the prospect of that happening to people paralyzes them, right? And not only did you go through it, but you came out to the other side. And I think it's a testament to your spirit. And, you know, here we are 10 years later and you're still having challenges with it, which is understandable. But, you know, the fact is that you can go through it, you can push through, you can be successful on the other end of that thing. And, you know, you can stand here and you know that you made it through. And so, you know, obviously I think you should be proud about that, but, you know, it's, I appreciate you sharing that.
You know,
That was deep,
one of the
man.
one of the things that I would say today, and this is, I actually, I this is, we grow, right? We're always growing.
Mhm.
If you're thinking like you were, I heard this quote from Hugh McLeod, and he's the guy that does these drawings. You can look him up on Instagram, or yeah, I think he's on Instagram. But he had this quote. I'm going to butcher it. That if you're thinking today is the same as it was last year, then you got a problem
Mm.
because you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're decaying. And so as we go through these troubles, as we go through these trials and tribulations, they scar us, but they should also help us to grow. And so I don't like failure, but I welcome it. And it helps me learn. And one of the things that became crystal clear to me recently is I'm talking to a friend, and we both kind of come up at the same time. We met each other kind of early on, and we were both kind of making that transition from blue collar to, I guess we're white collar. I don't know. I don't wear a collar at all anymore.
No collar.
No, I'm no collar, baby. That's right. And he's talking about how hard it's been. And he's made his first million and going to his second million. And he talks about how tough it's been and the last 14 years of work and the struggle, because this guy is a killer. He's a killer doing 100+ deals a year. And I look at him and I'm fascinated that he can do that, because I'm just too damn lazy for that. And he's like, I don't know, man. If I lost it all today, I don't know that I have it in me to do it again. And I was like, whoa, that my heart kind of sunk, because I'm sitting with him in his $500,000 house. We're on the dock smoking cigars, getting ready to go on the ski boat. The girls are up there grilling some food. And I'm like, are you kidding me, bro? When I met you, you didn't have anything. And he's like, I don't think I have. And I told him, you want to know something? And this is what became crystal clear to me. And this is the lesson that I want to share with the Legacy Blueprint listeners. This is what's most important. This is what's brought us together. I told him, if I lost everything today, everything that I have right now, I believe I could have it all back in 3 months. And it's because of the people I know. Like, that's where, to me, money, I'm not, and sometimes this is a negative thing. I think this is a weakness of mine. I'm not so motivated by money. I'm motivated by relationships. And I know that the relationships I have, I can get work, I can get money, I can do deals, and I can build it back up. And I'd probably be more motivated, so I wouldn't be as lazy as I am today.
That is one of the best quotes in the 50-some episodes that I've recorded right there. Not being money motivated, being relationship motivated. Everything is about not necessarily who you know, but the connectivity behind it, right? It's doing the right thing, knowing the right people, having them in your back pocket when you need them. I mean, listen, man, I mean, you and I know a lot of the same people, and those people have helped me in tremendous ways and vice versa. I think that your network is you know, you just said it. You could bounce back in 3 months. I believe the same thing. I really do. You know, I mean, in our business, I feel like, you know, you could potentially lose it all tomorrow. You know, I think it's you know, we're always in that business where, you know, shit happens, man. And we're constantly trying to, you know, do the right thing, but it doesn't mean that you can't get sideswiped. So, man, I love it. So speaking of that, I mean, you have a new business now. It's besides the real estate, you know, we have Podcast Factory. So tell me a little bit about Podcast Factory. How does that work? And, you know, how does that keep you occupied? And, you know, what does that look like?
And this is another thing where we're gonna talk about. You and I are in a very elite, very high level mastermind. That's how we met. And for your listeners out here, for the Legacy Blueprint listeners, hey, you're not gonna meet cool people like Joe or like Mark just out in the street. It's not likely. So I'm going to give you a tip that's going to advance your progress more than anything. And I wish I knew this when I started. If I had known this, I would be much further along than I am now, but I'm figuring it out. I'm not too old to learn this, but you got to pay for access. You got to pay to get in the room with people. And look, I have another friend. Actually, we're all friends. And now this guy hasn't been as successful. This guy hasn't been as successful as the guy with the boat, smoking the cigars in his $500,000 lake house. He knows all the things. He's read all the books I've read. He knows all the gurus. And when I tell him, hey, I spent 30 G's. Yeah, I invested 30 G's to get into a room with these people. He's like, what? No. There's got to be a way that I could meet people like this without spending that kind of money. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you join a yacht club or something, that's still going to cost you money. Or maybe if you golf at the very best place. I said, but you want a shortcut to meeting the people? Pay for it. When Joe has an event, pay for it. Or when anybody has one of these events that's a very high level, the higher level it is, the more it costs, the better chances are that you're going to meet cool people. So this guy, he's not successful because he reads all the things and he takes no action and he's not willing to invest. So that's that you can hustle your ass off, or you can buy access. So me personally, I'm like I said, I'm lazy. I'd rather just make all the money and pay to meet cool people. And so there's a shortcut.
Nice. I love it, man. Oh man, that was a great sidebar. I love it. So
All right.
mastermind.
So
People don't believe in
cool.
that.
So cool people. And the reason I'm talking about this is masterminds, cool people. All right. So the Podcast Factory started by mistake. It wasn't, in fact, I recorded an Instagram video about this today. I was ready to quit because I started podcasting in 2008 before anybody knew what it was. And people were like, pod what? How do you get that? And it was a real effort to get a show. Nowadays, they just download right onto your phone. It's super easy. But I almost quit. And luckily, my friend Darren was like, no, I think this is going to be big. Just stick with it. And we did. And we did a show. The first show on the Podcast Factory Network in 2013 was called Making Agents Rich. And that was me and Darren. And it was, I told you I did realtor training. So it was to promote the training that we were doing, like getting seller leads and getting buyer leads and referrals and all that sort of thing. But the first year we did like 100K. I was pretty happy. I mean, I had been working online for years, not making any money, and I'm just either too dumb or too stubborn to quit because that crash I went through and that down cycle that really messed me up. I decided I needed to hedge because I'm like, I can't let this happen again. And you're a guy, I remember when you were on my show talking about the multiple streams you have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was doing. I was like, how can I create another income that's totally separate from my real estate income so that if it happens again, I have something else, because the last time I had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I went off on this adventure to figure out online marketing, internet marketing. How do I build another business? It was going to be online because I wanted to be location independent. I mean, I don't know that we've talked about this, but I've done month-long snowboard trips and things like that. It's pretty normal. Month-long beach trips. I didn't want to be tied to real estate. That's one of the things that was a prerequisite for this business. So the online appealed to me. Anyways, we hit that 100 grand. Next year, we were barely hitting that 100 grand. And I'm like, I got to do something, right? This is my other income. I got to do something here. How do I up level? And I found this mastermind. It was a guy that I wanted to work with, a guy that I respected. And he opened up the doors to this elite mastermind. And it seemed like a lot of money. And at the time, it was a lot of money. Now I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it was only $1,000 a month, but back then it was like, holy crap, it's $1,000 a month. And I didn't think I could afford it. And when I told Cupcake about it, she's like, have you lost your mind? And I'm like, yeah, I think I have, but I feel like this is what I need. I need to get out of my comfort zone. And so I invested to get in that room. And I was still doing the real estate training at that time. But what happened was during the breaks, every time people would come over and talk to me, hey, you're doing a show with so-and-so. How'd you do that? Hey, because I would do shows. I had mentors that helped me out. I had mentors that taught me a lot. And I thought, well, look, I have the skill of the podcasting and we can reach people and have conversations. Let's do this. And so I connected with everybody. Was like, holy cow, they thought I was a high-level marketer. I just happened to have cool friends that were high-level marketers. I was doing shows with them. But 6 months into this mastermind, what I realized and what both me and Cupcake realized was, hey, maybe this real estate training thing is not what we need to be doing. Maybe we need to be focusing on this podcast thing. So that last 6 months of the year, I wound down that real estate training business, shut it all down. And 2016, I opened the Podcast Factory for Business, the podcast agency. And I'm still figuring things out. I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some months, and this was always a goal, and now I need bigger goals, but there are some months where I beat my real estate income and I'm like, damn, that feels good, because that was always the bar, right? The bar was the real estate income. And then I have this second business creating as much or more. And now I'm starting to say, oh, there's a lot more potential in this agency business because I don't have to buy more doors. I don't have to invest more money. I just have to maximize what I have here. And so that was a long story of investing to get in rooms and the breakthroughs that you have and how that could equal lots of dollars in your pocket, Joe.
No, it's awesome, man. I think it's important to understand that, we both are kind of students of the 4-Hour Workweek, right? So for those of you that, haven't heard of that book, or, I'm starting to show my age. It was one of my first, right, back in '07 when it came out, one of my first favorite entrepreneur books. And I know that you're a fan of that concept as well. And so for those of you who haven't read that book, I know it's archaic at this point, but I would go pick up a copy and I would read it. But, the idea behind it, right, is systematizing and simplifying and automating and creating a business where you can live that kind of virtual lifestyle, where if you wanted to go take a month off and,
the mini retirement,
right? And then having that side income as a part of, even if you had a full-time job, you can create that side income until it becomes a full income. The magic is, because I've done this multiple times, when that side income becomes almost a full-time business where you could literally live off of one. So when you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those working and you sit back and you're like, man, one of those could sustain me, it becomes a whole lot more comfortable. Now, of course, your lifestyle starts to catch up to those. Inevitably, you need 3 or 4 of them to live. But I mean, the fact is, it's cool to know that you can create those things, almost at will once you start to become good at it, right? So I think that it's a super interesting story, and it comes back to doing what you love, right? I mean, you obviously loved the podcasting piece. You loved doing the interviews or helping people create the interviews. So, finding something you're good at and then creating a recurring stream of income from it that could inevitably replace your existing income.
I want to correct you there. What I really love is punching people in the face.
Oh, well, I mean, cool.
I was a little brawler when I was a kid, a little skinny brawler, but punching people in the face with the reality of what's possible. And that's what excites me about being here with you. And like when you were on our podcast and sharing the multiple businesses you have, an average ordinary person is not going to be exposed to that. They have no way to know about that unless they tap into us here. And so this is where we have an opportunity these days to punch people in the face and wake them up and say, hey, you're sleeping through life. Absolutely. Wake up. There's another option for you. And here goes some people that can show you those options. And so that's really what this is about. And when we're talking about legacy, selfishly, the Podcast Factory is a piece of my legacy, not just about what I do here myself, what I do with you, but what I do with the clients and what happens with all the listeners, because I feel like I have a duty to improve the lives of everybody listening. And so by me coaching my clients to do better and to share more and to go deeper, I'm actually doing my little piece to make the world a better place.
I love it, man. I call it our moral obligation, right? Like if you have something to share and you can get it out there and people can create more and bigger and better impact, like that's what it's all about. And then, people sit on the sidelines sometimes and they wonder, well, why do these guys get up at 4:00 in the morning? Why are they trying so hard? Why are they grinding? Why are they creating so much content? Why are they trying? It's because there's people out there that are taking action. It's not the majority, for certain, right? But there are people that are creating, that are taking action, creating impact based off of these conversations, right? So, just for those small few, I don't care if it's 1% of the people that are paying attention, but those are the people that we do these things for, which is really interesting.
They're the only people that matter. I say that all the time. I'm like, I don't care about you guys who are just consumers. I'm here for the creators. And if you're creating, if you're doing something, if you're making a difference, I got your back, baby, and I'm going to support you all the way so we can win, us creators.
100%. So, Jonathan, tell me about if there's a high school student, young, creative, energetic action taker, wants to come out and, maybe leapfrog a few things that you and I have stumbled upon across our years. I mean, what kind of advice are you giving them at this point in time? Because let's face it, things are a whole lot different in 2020, which it's going to be here in a couple weeks, than they were when me and you graduated school. So, what kind of advice are you giving a kid now coming out of high school?
Don't listen to your teachers.
I don't disagree with you, by the way. I'm shaking my head for those who can't see me.
They are full of it. But I'll share what I'm doing with our son, and maybe that will help, maybe not. But one of the things that we are teaching him is to earn things, and you got to earn things. And we talked I don't know, that maybe we did talk about it a little bit, is we have a generation right now who is entitled. They think they're special little snowflakes and they deserve things. And if they don't get it the way that they want it, they're going to go hide in their safe space and cry about it. And the fact is that you don't deserve anything. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. Now, the other side of that, and this was something that I struggled with for many, many years, and I'm still struggling with, is so you got entitlement and you got expectancy, right? Because a lot of us are brought up, if you were brought up like me, is like, oh, the other shoe is going to drop. Something good happened, something bad happened. Like when my real estate business failed, I made all this money and then I got crushed under the weight of it. Oh, so yeah, bad things are always going to happen to you when good things happen. And so changing that entitlement, number one, earning what you get, and then the expectancy, but changing your gauge on expectancy. Like instead of thinking something good happened, now something bad's going to happen. I'm doing good in this world, so good is going to happen. And you expect good to happen. You expect to win. Even if you hit a few bumps, even if you get your ass kicked a little bit, you expect still that you're going to win. And so I would say that get rid of entitlement, increase your positive expectancy, but you can only do that if you're being a creator, if you are doing good things in the world, which leads me to the third piece, which is learn to solve problems. Now, I don't mean mathematical equations or scientific things. Learn to solve problems. The reason I'm here with you today in this office is because I've solved a housing problem for these folks here. The reason that I have the podcast factory is because I solved a communication problem for my clients. Learn to solve problems. You will be rewarded, and know that if you're putting good out into the world, expect good to come back to you.
I love it, man. Like creating your own luck. Create your own luck, right?
That is it, right? We do create our own luck.
We do create our own luck. And then when you do put good out there, it's going to come back. I believe that wholeheartedly. There's actually, almost a flip side to that. Gary Vee was talking about this, a couple months ago. I remember watching this, and it was one of the most impactful, he puts out a ton of content, so it's hard to follow him, but he put something out a couple months ago that really hit home for me. And he was talking about, he gets bombarded with messages between 18 and 24-year-olds that are just getting, graduating. I guess that's a big part of his demographic. And the flip side of that is they were talking about how they're so frustrated that now that they've finally hit the real world, they're pissed off that they were raised with this entitlement. Like, when they were 17, mom and dad gave them a BMW and gave them everything they ever wanted, and kissed their ass, and everything was so easy. And now that they've graduated college, they don't understand how to handle real life. Like, they're depressed and the pressure, and they're stressed, and they don't know how to handle their job, and they don't even know how to clean their own room or do their own laundry, and the pressure of living life is crushing them because of the fact that their parents babied the shit out of them for the last 18 years. So it's almost literally the flip. It's saying the same thing you're saying, but from the kids' perspective. And these kids actually want the structure. They want they want to be able to be taught to solve problems. They want to be able to be taught to create their own luck. They want the entitlement factor to be taken away so they can earn their shit. I don't know about you, man, but I've been sweeping job sites and working since I was 6 years old. I remember working and enjoying it. I remember it being hard, but I enjoyed it. I got therapy out of it when I was a kid. So I don't know. His take on it is these kids want it now. They don't want to be spoiled. And now when they finally step into the real world, they're just getting just pulverized by the real world because they're not ready for it. So
you're right. And I actually had this talk with Cupcake when we adopted our son. We tried to have a kid for a couple of years. We couldn't. And so we went through the adoption process. It took us 3 years to have our son home with us. And now he's been with us for about 3 years. But we talked about the kind of parents we were going to be. And I'll have to report back to you on this, if the structure, the routine, the consistency, like earning it, if that's going to work, because his mom and I are tough, and we're tough, and we're like yellers, and sometimes we're militant and stuff. I want this kid to get out there and be like, world, you ain't got shit. My mom and dad were tough. That's what I want. And we both said, we're not going to raise one of these whiny little kids. And I have a little sister. My mom died like 15 years ago. My dad remarried. So I've got a little 12, 13-year-old sister. And she is soft AF.
Yeah.
Like, everything hurts her. She's depressed. And I'm like, what do you got to be depressed about? You live in a 4-bedroom house. You have a bathroom in your bedroom. You have your own. I'm like, what do you have to be sad about? Your parents give you everything. And I know that's not the dad I had when I was growing up. But we look at that and we're like, we got to be tough on this kid, because when he gets out there, I want him to think that is easy out there. And so that's our philosophy. I don't know if it's right or wrong. You got to have a philosophy, and that's the one that we're going with. We might pay for it later when we get old and we need him to take care of us. But I don't know.
Hey, listen, man, we got to chase the discomfort. That's the stuff that drives us. That's the stuff that helps us live, right? So we want the kids to do the same thing ultimately, man. So I know one of the things I wanted to touch on with you is, I know I have a lot of, I talk about having routines and rituals. I know I have a morning routine that I'm really into. What are kind of like some rituals and routines that you practice to keep yourself, in healthy, in shape, mentally, physically, ready to go for the day? What are the kind of things that maybe you can share with our audience that keep you ready to rock?
So I've been experimenting. In fact, since I met you at the DM event in Ohio, I also met Ray Gonzalez over there.
Oh boy.
And he put me onto the 75 hard thing. So I changed a lot of what I'd done. And you touched on it just a second ago, is chasing the discomfort. And so I've looked for that in different ways. And when I was preparing to have our son, look, I still kind of am, but not as bad as I was. I was deathly afraid of water and drowning. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get scuba certified and spend 2 days underwater. Like, what's wrong with you, man? And it was so bad. Yeah, it was so bad. They nicknamed me Air Hog. And the reason was, everybody is doing their thing, and I'm underwater like just scared out of my mind for 2 days. And they're like, dude, you're sucking too much air. You're an air hog.
You wouldn't make it through SEAL training? Is that what you're saying?
No way, dude. Please don't even put me in the water. And I did it here too. I was like, something that I really don't want to do is jump out of a perfectly good airplane. And my thinking is just like, all right, let's go do these things, because anything I do cannot compare to being a parent. And so I jumped out of an airplane. I hated it. I didn't even want to see the video. I was so damn scared. And I'm like, hey, chase the discomfort, man. Wow.
That's a whole new level, dude. I mean, listen, I'm all about trying to stay uncomfortable and chase bigger goals and stuff like that, but I'm not sure I'm jumping out of an airplane.
I wouldn't do it again, but I did it. It's done. And I'm working on one right now that's not as scary as that. And for next month, I want to go. I have a friend who got some tags, and it's going to be up in Colorado. And I want to go shoot a deer. That's not the scary part, but I also want to dress the deer. Like that's gross. And it disgusts me thinking about it. I'm like, this will make me a man.
Oh man. Good luck.
Yeah. So I would say that getting uncomfortable is key here, and this is going to sound silly, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the thing. It's like being okay with the uncertainty, because life is uncertain. So when I met you guys, I was in a really low place, and I knew that I needed to get around some good kindred spirits, and that's why I joined the DM family. And Ray put me onto the 75 hard thing. So I decided right then and there, I'm like, I have always, since I can remember, I've focused on the business and the goals and the numbers. And I was like, when I went over there, and a couple guys in the DM family told me, dude, you're doing too much. That's what they kept telling me. Dude, you're doing too much. I said, okay, well, for this quarter, I'm going to focus on one thing, and that's me. I'm going to be a selfish prick. I'm only going to care about me. So I'm going to do my 2 workouts a day. I'm going to do my keto eating, my reading, my gallon of water. This quarter, I'm just going to focus on me and be selfish. Family, going to have to sit on the sideline. Finances, going to have to sit on the sideline. Faith, going to have to sit on the sideline. This quarter is about fitness. Never did that. And it was one of the most wonderful experiences because I used to have a routine where I got up and I did my journal and I did all these things, very structured. That got me to where I was. And I was depressed. I did it for so many years. So I switched everything up, did the 75 hard. And Joe, the most amazing things came out of this. Like, because I'm doing 75 hard, I have to get my morning workout. It's got to be an outside workout. And it turned into this thing where, I got to get that workout, and I really want to hang out with my family. So I came up with this thing, mornings are for family. I don't start work till 11, and I'm still doing that. I don't start work. I get up, I take care of Huddy. I get him dressed, get him ready for the day. Then I go out and do my exercise, and I come back home and walk him to school with Cupcake. And then we go and have breakfast, and we talk a little bit, and I come home probably about 10:30. About 11 o'clock, I'm ready for work because I've done everything else. So yeah, I've changed what I do, but I'm still journaling. I'm still taking care of my fitness. I still have goals, and I have quarterly goals and monthly goals and weekly goals and daily goals, just like top 3 every day, just to make sure I'm making progress. I'm in strategic coach. And so once a quarter, I go in and plan my quarter, and I know exactly the things that I'm going to be working on for the next 3 months. But really, right now, where I am is a different place than I was before, where I used to be more structured. I'm doing my exercise, I'm doing my eating, I'm spending the time with family, and some other things that I've included in this quarter that I'm doing it is like reading the Bible and drawing are things that I want to do for my spirit and just for fun. And so it's really, this would have been uncomfortable for me when I met you, but it's changed my life. And the weird part is the mornings are for family. We had a really great quarter, so the finances got taken care of, and I was being selfish. And so, yeah, all right, that's what I want to teach you guys. Be selfish.
I love it, man. That's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of times the fact is, if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of those around you. I mean, so, sometimes the fact is, if you just deplete and constantly, you just said it, you were taking care of all the other things and you were depressed. Yeah. Right. And you were in a bad place. And if you don't start with you, right, if you're not in a good place, then how can you take care of those around you? So, being selfish sometimes is a necessity, in order to get right.
More people need to be selfish. I think we're taught. This was the thing, and it's a funny story. I've told you that we were when Huddy first came home, we were looking for daycares and things like that, and we went to this one place. We loved it. It was just like, it was beautiful. It was close to home. Everybody was nice, and at the end of the tour, they're like, oh yeah, we have themes each month of what we teach the kids, and that's the entire month. Like this month is, it's better to give than receive. And I was like, these people are communists. I'm out of here. I love the place until they said that. And I don't think so. I think it's better to receive than, THEN, give, so that you're strong. You're taken care of. Now you have enough to give. And that's the way people are growing up, is being taught that it's better to give than receive. And I wonder why you're unhappy, because you don't have crap and you're trying to take care of everybody else.
And you're saying yes to everybody. You can never say no. You're never turning anybody down, and you're stretched to 100 different directions. And you're right. Like you said, you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah. So I agree. So Jonathan, I want to be respectful of your time. Anything that I haven't shared yet, or anything you haven't shared yet, or I haven't asked yet, anything else you want to add to the conversation?
Bro, I give you everything I have. Hopefully everybody listening is like, this guy is a total nutbag, but I like him. But yeah, like I said, I was an open book wherever you wanted to go, but we hit everything I thought we would talk about. Fantastic, man. What's the best place for people to connect with you? Yeah. The website is thepodcastfactory.com, and the is at the beginning, thepodcastfactory.com. That's where you'll find connections to everything else. I write a daily email. You might find my books on there. But that's really the entry point to everything that is me.
Awesome. Awesome. And as always, guys, if you leave us a 5-star review and a comment inside of it, we will draw a random winner each week, and we will offer you a 15-minute interview, consult, whatever you want, with myself or Jonathan. Would you do that for our guests as well?
I'm happy to talk to anybody. I need attention, apparently.
Fantastic. Fantastic. There you go. So we'll pick a random winner. We'll do a draw, and you guys can choose between Jonathan or myself. If you guys want to get into the podcasting space, Jonathan's a great resource for you as well. And happy to have you on. Jonathan, thank you so much for doing this show with me.
Brother, it was a blast. Thank you.
Awesome, man.